Casing the Cover is a bi-monthly podcast series hosted by Mary and Jenn. That's me. In our day-to-day experiences, Mary and I happen across numerous crappy covers, atrocious authors, and sad, sad titles. We spend a healthy amount of time decoding how cover designs can be humorously contrary to the story within, or used to lure readers based on demographic or current trends. Should you judge a book by the cover? Join Mary and Jenn on the case to find out.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Casing the Cover, and Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
It's 2020.
Yes!
Are you excited that it's the 20s, Jen?
I'm so excited it's the 20s, except for, that prohibition thing.
Yeah.
This is not how we expected to start.
That must suck.
We didn't expect to start this way.
We did not make a resolution to be more professional on this podcast, so it's fine.
Yeah, we're good. We are clearly not more professional on this podcast. But we are going to have more fun.
Yes.
And you'll be hearing from us more often.
Yes, so this is the first of 2 episodes that I'll be going out this month.
Whee!
Hopefully on time.
They will. We trust Mary.
So we're gonna one of our resolutions for 2020 is to put out a new episode on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of each month. So this will be our first episode 2020, and you'll get another one from us for our lovely listeners.
Isn't that great? Don't you want to hear more of us?
Who have made a resolution to listen to more podcasts.
Especially really funny podcasts like us.
Because we're hilarious.
We are hilarious.
And speaking of New Year's resolutions, Jen.
Oh, nice segue.
Guess what I read?
Barry, what did you read for January?
The first third of a book.
It doesn't bode well.
No. So you and I were kind of like, what should we do for the new year?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it would be fun to do a self-help book. Because, it's that time of year when everyone says they're going to fix themselves, but really it's going to last a week, and they're just going back to the same assholes they've always been.
Yes.
Yeah, so
And we didn't even last one podcast.
No.
Okay.
We didn't even make it one. So I perused the self-help-esque section here in our library. I feel like it's not all self-help over there. Some of it's like... Here's the thing. Let's talk about self-help for a second.
Okay, yes.
What do you think is a self-help book?
Well, I may or may not have some experiences with self-help books.
You may not.
I may not. But to me, the self-help books are kind of... There is always a guru-esque person writing about, in reality, some very common sense things that we should do as people. And I say they are common sense because to me they are common sense. They may not be common sense to some people.
True.
So I don't really want to put it out there, but they seem to be. And the idea behind them, I think, okay, the ones that I have found are actually good ones, are interesting to read, have a little bit of like that gamification to them where they're like, hey, you should do this thing for 21 days. Or have you ever thought about writing down this every day for X number of days? And they seem to have like a hands-on approach, something you must do, not just trite, here's some ideas.
Can I ask you a question that you may or may not be legally allowed to answer?
Yes.
Did you write this one?
No.
Because that's exactly what this is. So this book is called Life is a Verb, and it's by Patti, is it Digh?
I'm going to go with Digh.
D-I-G-N.
G-H.
G-H. That's an H.
Maybe it's a
I work in a library. I know what N is. Maybe die. Yeah, maybe it's die.
Yeah.
Sure, Patti die. And the subtitle is 37 Days to Wake Up, Be Mindful, and Live Intentionally. Now, I have a bit of an aversion to self-help books just because, like you said, they're all kind of that like common sense thing. Do you watch Family Guy?
No.
There's an episode where Brian the dog, because he's the best character on the show other than Stewie, writes a self-help book called Wish It, Want It, Do It. And that's what they all are. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that's what they all are.
Yeah.
And there's some that I think get more specific that tackle, like, issues in your life. And I think those can be a little more helpful. I read one once for some book project in, like, high school or something that was, like, how to get rid of toxic people. And it was like, this is an actual real problem that we're going to pinpoint. And it's basically the whole book is telling you it's okay to get rid of people who are toxic, even if they're family, even if they're close to you. But these ones were just like, live better, be intentional, life is yours. I don't take them very seriously. And that's kind of what this one is. So I picked this one up because it's called Life is a Verb, and that's not true. Grammatically, that's incorrect. Because life is not a verb.
Live is a verb.
Live is a verb, and life is a noun. So that's why I picked this up. But also, the other reason why I picked this up is, if you can kind of see this cover, it's like a scrapbooking book.
Yes.
Because the cover of this book, the background looks like a calendar that's like writing on it. Like,
oh, yes.
Almost like a scrapbook page, like a background for a scrapbook page. There's this cutout girl on the front, like a Victorian-looking little girl, with these butterfly wings and a hat made of book print and type print. And they're kind of cobbled together like a scrapbook. And it does look like a scrapbook, absolutely. And this is something that actually she does throughout the book. So there's images all throughout this book. Pictures of books that she's read and pictures of her kids or pictures that represent things her kids have done. They look like scrapbook pages that are just kind of put in as images throughout the book, which I thought was interesting. That's the most interesting thing about this book. She deliberately had it printed in this kind of wide format. It's a big book. It's not like a little hardback. It's not bad, and her stories aren't badly written. They're dated. Because this book was published in 2008, so it's 10 years old. Over 10 years old. Almost 12 years old. Math.
2020.
I know, but okay, when was it published in 2020?
No, that's true.
It doesn't say. So some of it's a little dated, and like some of her references are like, yeah, that hasn't been a thing for a decade, but okay. Which is, it's not her fault. I'm reading a book that's, a decade old. But her writing style is fine. Her stories, some of them are cute. The ones about her kid are cute. But it wasn't my kind of book. And I didn't do a single exercise.
So what kind of book? Okay. So this one looks like it would have appealed to you.
Yes, because if you just had this book sitting on a shelf, and it wasn't categorized by fiction, nonfiction, this or that, if it wasn't in a section, if this was just sitting somewhere, and you picked it up, it looks like it's a craft book.
Yeah.
Or maybe a memoir.
Yeah.
But more memoir-y than it, because it is kind of a memoir, but it's also trying to be a self-help book at the same time.
Yeah.
And I guess this cover makes sense from a memoir standpoint, because there are a lot of memoirs that look like this.
Yeah.
Not the formatting. The formatting is a weird thing she chose to do for me.
So what made you pick it up, though, as a self-help book?
Probably because I kind of appealed to me on that, my artsy part of my brain, because I do pick up scrapbooks, and I do like that kind of things. And also because I was like, life is not a verb, and that was the grammar Nazi in me telling me to pick that up. Because I guess that's what interested me the most about this, is what's in it is very much that stereotypical, like, this is like every other self-help book. But it doesn't look like a self-help book. It looks like an art book. It looks like a craft book.
But it appealed to you because
but
that's
it appeals
your
to me
lifestyle.
because that's what it looks like. Because that's what I am.
So this is the thing I will tell you about self-help books. They're a genre in and of themselves, and there are different demographics of people you're going for with self-help books. So there are some out there that are very creative leaning. One of my favorite ones is called The Artist's Way, and it's by, forgive me, I don't remember her first name, but the last name is Cameron. The author is Cameron. Okay. And I will tell you that when I got that book initially, I did many of the exercises in it as a writer. Okay. But I have gone back to that book time and time again just for one or two of those exercises in it to give to other people.
Was that book specifically directed at people to like be artistic?
It's to, the idea of the book is more for the creative mind.
Okay.
But it also helps you get over things like if you have any kind of childhood trauma, or if you have anything holding you back in your life, because creativity can be anything. Yeah. Maybe you're stumped at work kind of thing, like you gotta loosen up a little. So that's the cool thing about that one. That one has some really great exercises in it. So for me, I think going through multiple self-help books, and if you really are out to do
Cherry
this,
picking what you want.
and cherry pick
Yeah.
what appeals to you.
I'm gonna find one of these prompts in here so we can look at it together. I'll try to find this one because this was one of the stories I thought was cute. She talks about, I forget what the lesson is because I wasn't paying that much attention.
It's also really interesting because some of the really good ones that I've seen have like these little tidbits in them. They do look more like a textbook,
Yeah.
like a really fun textbook
I think
about you.
that's why I got kind of bored reading this, is because it reminded me of a textbook to a degree. Because of the way it's formatted, it felt like one of like the giant chem books I'd have in college, and like read 60 pages of this in one night, and I'd be sitting there trying to read this book, and then it would give me homework, and I was just like, this is just college flashbacks. I'm not doing this. So each chapter, she gives you your intent, what you're supposed to be doing, and then she gives you her little story, and then she gives you an action and a movement. The action is the thing you're supposed to do right away. Usually it's a journaling prompt. The movement is the thing you're supposed to do over your time period. This one was about, again, I don't remember what the lesson was. It was like find things to treasure or something. It's about how her daughter carries around a grape and a piece of soap, and they're her treasures. And so, like...
How do you carry around a grape?
I don't know.
Ew.
So it's her action is, what's your grape? What creates wonder in you? Take just 10 minutes to create a tiny collage or drawing or poem small enough to fit in your wallet, using images and words that represent what brings you joy or holds deep meaning in your life. Perhaps it's simply the word joy, or a photograph of your partner or pet, or a ticket stub. Slip it into a plastic lever, laminate it, and carry it with you.
Making a fetish.
What?
Not that kind of fetish. A fetish is like a charm.
Oh, okay, Jen.
Not that kind of
sure,
fetish.
Sure, Jen. Carry around a picture of a furry in your wallet everywhere you go.
That kind of fetish.
This is the wrong episode, Jen.
That's my next episode.
But, so, like, I don't know. It was very much just, like, how to live better and be happier. And it's very, like... Maybe it's too general for me. Maybe I should have actually like found a self-help book on something I actually have issues with, like saying no or having a meaner face or something. And then maybe I would have gotten a little more out of it. But as it was, this book just felt like homework. And like I can't really give Patti Digh a yes or no, or because I didn't read enough of this book to give her a fair shot. And I don't know. If you look at this, you're saying these self-help books, you see them aimed at different people. Would this look like one you think was kind of aimed toward a creative person or something like that?
To me, this looks like, okay, the demographic is women.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I don't doubt that.
The age demographic is, I would say 30.
I'll say 30 to 40.
30 on up, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But then
Even
again...
the art style in this book, like it looks scrapbooky, but the like art style in it is kind of that like 80s, 90s-esque art style.
Yeah.
This book, like the way people scrapbooked 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, and again, the book is 10 years old.
The book's 10 years old,
yeah,
I know, but...
It almost is 20 years ago. But yeah, I look at this and you can tell the demographic, you can tell the people. And just based on what you said the actionable items on it are, those sound like actionable items for a grown-up.
Yeah,
not a 20-year-old or a teenager.
They're not. They're for people with kids and homes and houses and money and
right.
the whole convertible thing. She tells 3 different stories about when she rented a red convertible, and like the first was they living in a town that had a sniper. I remember this happening. There was a sniper. I don't remember what happened, but I remember this happening. And they shouldn't have gotten the convertible, but her husband got it because it was cheaper because no one wanted to rent a convertible because there was a sniper. And they drove around this red convertible and they all had fun with their kids. And then another time her and her daughter went to Disneyland and her daughter wanted a red convertible and she didn't get it because they were trying to save money, and then she got it anyway or whatever. And it's just, it's kind of like that, like, just do what makes you happy at the moment kind of books. And I'm not that kind of person.
No.
This is very unsensible kind of person.
Well, okay, here's the other thing. The reason why sometimes these books... I will say that the demographic for this may not be the artsy person, but may be the woman who has been in a 9-to-5 office suit and tie kind of job for 20 years or even 10 years, and she kind of still got to get her groove back.
I don't think you know who I think this is directed to? I think this is a book for moms. I think this is a book for like stay-at-home moms whose kids are getting too old and now they're like, what do I do with my life?
They have no purpose.
Or either that or like, because I'm not saying like stay-at-home moms don't, because of course they do. But like people, like you said, kind of in a rut, but like kind of in like a personal rut. Like my kids are too old, my relationship's stale, my parents are gone, I don't have any friends my age, kind of a thing. I don't know. But then again, it's supposed to be like this life-affirming, thing too. So the back says, what would you be doing today if you only had 37 days to live? Not reading this book. The death of her stepfather just 37 days after being diagnosed with cancer woke Patti Digh up, scared her, and made her examine her own life. She realized that living your best life doesn't mean ditching your job and sailing around the world. It means living each individual, glorious, simple day with more intention. Based on Patti's award-winning blog, 37 Days, Life is a Verb, provides 37 witty, literary, and inspiring life stories that illustrate 6 core practices for living without regret, no matter how many days you have left. And those 5 things are: say yes. How can you live a yes and rather than yes but kind of life? Be generous. How can you give and receive something more valuable than money or things? Speak up. How can you stand tall yet give up your attachment to being right? Love more. How can adoration of yourself and others revolutionize your life? Trust yourself. How can you choose who to spend your time with? I don't know if that has to do with trusting yourself, but okay. Slow down. How can you pay attention and stand still in a world moving at warp speed? So, I don't know. Like I said, it's very general.
What I find interesting too is there's always a blog.
Yeah.
I feel like there's always a blog.
But honestly, this might have been better I might have enjoyed this more if I was reading it as a blog. If it was like, I tune in sometimes to see if she did a cute story this week and it has a nice message at the end. It almost reads like a Chicken Soup for the Soul book. If you ever read those.
Yeah, that's...
But instead of like this story sounds cute, I'll read this one, then I'll bounce around to the next one. It's like that, but it's also homework and you have to read it in this order and then you have to do the prompt and like... That didn't like that.
Well, do you feel like if you read it one day out of the 37 days and like only read that one page or that one prompt for those 37 days, you know what I mean? Like day 1, you just do day 1, and then day 2, you slow it down. Like instead of like, because you were kind of trying to cram it to read.
Yeah,
it
was.
This.
I also didn't help that this book is not available on audio.
I don't think this would have worked as well on audio.
No, well, I read through some of the prompts, but like I said, I didn't do any of them. I don't know. If this is your kind of book, you'd probably like it. She's a decent writer. The stories are cute. It gives you something to do. The prompts aren't bad. It's just, it wasn't for me. Didn't change my life. I'm not making any resolutions based on this book, except for that I'm never going to say that life is a verb, because it's not. That is my resolution. That is my resolution, Jen.
Life is not a verb. It's not a verb. Stick to your grammar guns.
I get it. It's supposed to be this clever play on like live life, be proactive in life, but the word life is not a verb. Patti Digh.
Patti Digh. Well, on that note, maybe we want to do some reflection exercises.
Sure, Jen.
Don't laugh at me. You knew this was coming.
I know. I just didn't know you were going to phrase it like that. We want to, I don't know, think about what we did over the past year and how we can fix it. Is that what we're doing?
No, I just want to, not how to fix it, but what was awesome about this. Because let's go back. We really have been going pretty much a whole year. Because I think the first one was in March. Wasn't it?
It was in April last year. So not quite a year, but we've been planning this for over a year, and it took us, 4 months to get off our butts and make it happen?
Well, but how long did it take you before you met me to get it happen? Or are we not talking about that?
4 or 5 years.
So give me some credit.
It's been a thing in the back of my mind. And Jen made me do it. So that was the thing that happened last year.
See, I feel like this is sort of my calling in life, though. People tell me, hey, there's this thing I've been thinking about doing, and then I'm like, and now we are.
You should make a podcast about all the things you make your friends do.
I should. That would be a really fun podcast, actually. This week, I'm going to have this person come on.
What was your favorite book you ended up reading for this pod over the past year?
I gotta say, like, my favorite one is still probably the first one I did for our first live show, and that was Is Fat Bob Dead Yet? It's my favorite for a lot of reasons. I didn't love it to begin with, but once I accepted what it was, I really allowed myself to enjoy it. The cover was fantastic because it's just completely irreverent and it works for what it is. And it's confusing, and that's what drew me in. And there's just so much to that book that brought me so much joy. And I think, too, it was like, well, let's give this a go and see what happens. And that made it fun. So, yeah, that's my favorite one. What was your favorite one?
Probably Hot and Badgered. As silly as that book was, like... I will say, like, part of the thing I've liked about doing this is that it's made me read different stuff, including the book I didn't finish. Like, I tried to read self-help. I read a horror novel this year, which I very rarely read. I've never actually sat and read, like, a romance novel. And Hot and Badgered was, like, delightfully stupid. But, like, it wasn't. Like, the concept was silly, but it was fun. And the book was better than I thought it could possibly be with that bad of a title. And that was probably my favorite book and my favorite experience. That was my favorite pod we did last year, too. So, like, we had so much fun with that.
That was, yeah.
And the more I think about that book, the more I like it. And I'm like, yeah, I liked this book. And compared to the other books I read this year, I liked Hot and Badgered. Better than The Chemist. It was better than The Pumpkin Man. I read some crap this year, man.
Yeah.
I could speak so overly critical of everything, but still.
I do think that we are overly critical.
Oh, yeah.
I will give it that. Like, I think that's kind of that's the fun part for us. That's the premise for this is, like, if your book is going to be on here, it's going to be, like, we're going to rip it.
Not necessarily. If I find a book I like, I won't rip it as much.
We ripped everything. Like, even the ones we liked, we still... We're sarcastic.
I do that to things I love. Like, I will sit and I will watch a Marvel movie and I will be enthralled and I'll be like, that was the best movie I ever saw. But why was Iron Man's pants doing that thing? Like, I will be that person. I still go on a regular rant about the first Twilight movie and also the last X-Men movie just because little nitpicky things. My brain hangs on to things that don't need to be.
I just think that makes it fun, though.
It does. That's my favorite pastime is being nitpicky about things I like and critical of things I don't. So this has been a fun ride for our first year.
Yeah, I think, and for the resolution for the podcast for 2020,
be more critical.
I think we've got that one.
To find a book that I really like. Like, I am waiting for, like, I liked Hot and Badgered. And it was fun. But I want a book that looks ridiculous and inside is pure gold. That's what I want this year.
Hear that? Grant Mary's wish.
Find me a book that's the best book you've ever read and the cover is awful and I will read it.
There you go.
And what's your... What do
Mary's
you want?
On a treasure
What
hunt.
do you want this year, Jen?
I think what I want this year is to reach people... in the sense of this is not just us nitpicking covers, although mostly it is.
A little bit.
But giving people the idea that, you know, you can give things a chance and not just books. Mm-hmm. Like, we are going to talk about movies this year. There's a couple of them that I already have, you know, that we're going to talk about. Different authors, people that you don't expect to read. Just give people that permission to go ahead and read something ridiculous, and it's okay.
And it's also okay to like something stupid, and it's okay to find problems with something you like. I think this world we live in is too black and white, and that's why I like being weirdly critical about things. Because you can like something and also have problems with it. And you can look at something that's stupid and that should not work and still have things you enjoy about it. And those things are both okay. And I hope to spread that message of it's okay to hate and love at the same time throughout the world.
Yeah,
wow, we're getting way
find
too
the gray
out there.
area.
By throughout the world, I mean that one person listening in Finland.
Hi, Finland.
Who probably gave up on this podcast after episode 1.
Don't give up on us, Finland.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to another year of this, Jen. Are you?
Yes, and I'm looking forward to doubling our fun every month, like more episodes, and
doubling
more
our editing,
making Mary work
I'll be
more.
Okay. I'll live. It's gonna be okay.
And the other really great thing that I've enjoyed so far is taking that risk to do some live shows at these smaller conventions. And I would really love to see us do more of those and have people in the audience that are like, hey, this is, something cool. And guests.
That's the other thing you're going to be seeing from us this year is we've got some guests lined up.
Yes, we like guests.
In fact, our next episode may just be one of those episodes.
Really? I already know. Yes.
We're so mysterious.
We're so mysterious. It's not going to be that mysterious.
I think it's going to be a good year.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a good time.
So hopefully you all stick around with us and see what we have in store.
Yes. And find yourself a good self-help book to read this month. And then get through maybe one chapter.
Yeah.
And then go back to being the asshole you know.
Yes. Resolutions are nonsense.
No.
Don't bother.
Although I will say that I always come up with a word for the year.
Okay.
Or a turn of phrase for the year. And I don't know if you want me to share some of them, but
sure. That's a good way to end this.
So
what's Jen's word for the year? Jen, if you were writing a self-help book, what word would you use to tell people that they need to improve themselves over the next year?
Oh no, I don't do it that way. No. See, like 1 year, my word for the year, or my phrase, I guess, for the year was use the whole buffalo.
Okay.
I know, it's quirky, it's weird. It's not necessarily like you must do this thing, but it's this frame of mind. Use the whole buffalo, which basically for me meant if you start something, finish it. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a craft project or a writing project or whatever. And also like try to be more conscious of what comes into my life and use every piece of it. Don't just go get something and then like throw it away or forget about it. So that was one of them. I think my 2021 is boom and bloom, which I haven't quite figured out
what that means.
The semantics of what that means, but I do know that it means I really want to like make it an explosive year, like exciting, and like grow some things that have been kind of stagnant, that I have the seeds for. Make sense?
There might also be something like that coming up, Miss Jen.
What's that?
You tell me.
What? Wait, I'm so lost.
Oh my God. Jen, what are you doing this year that you'd like people to know about?
Oh, I have a book.
Golly, Miss Molly, you are bad at advertising.
I do have a new book coming out. Yes, we'll talk more about that in coming weeks.
Yes,
but yes, I do have a new book coming out, and the cover just came out. Thanks to your dad who did the cover. Thank you, Mike Leone, who did a brilliant cover for Cloud to Cloud. Yes.
And we will not be talking about that cover.
Yes, we will.
We will be talking about that cover.
Yes, and the process. It was a process. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the process.
Yeah, we'll see if we can wrangle him in here. All right, I think we've gone on long enough. We need to make a resolution to be more succinct in our endings.
No, that's where all the fun.
Another resolution we won't keep.
Yes.
All right. Until next time, lovely listeners. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Happy New Year.
Are you singing New Year's song, Jen?
Happy New Year to you.
Happy birthday's copyrighted. You can't do that.
Bye.
Thank you so much for cracking another case with Mary and Jenn. To learn more about Casing the Cover, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Casing the Cover. To contact us or suggest a book, email casingthecoverpod@gmail.com. New episodes of Casing the Cover released the second and fourth Tuesday on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher.